tickets and the ticket prices. Our entry price, which is $60, is the lowest entry price of any of the American sports. If you look at the final of the NBA, the Knicks against San Antonio, I don't know how many people are watching that on TV, 10 million maybe. The World Cup will be watched by 6 billion. Of course, it is unfortunate as well what happened to Omar, the referee from Somalia. Would you find it normal that FIFA would dictate to the British government who to let in the country and who not to let in the country?
I don't know if I would describe the rejection of Somalian referee Omar Artan into the United States as unfortunate. For starters, we already have around 100,000 Somalians living in the Somalian Republic of Minnesota, although some of them are running community organizations like the Quality Leering Center. Others are living on welfare and allegedly sending our money back to Somalian terrorist organizations. So I'm not exactly against the rejection of more Somalian visas into our country. Speaking of terrorist groups, according to the New York Times, Omar Artan was denied entry into our country because our government suspected that he was associated with members of a terrorist organization. I would not describe that as unfortunate. Matter of fact, I would describe it as the exact opposite. As you heard in the clip, Gianni Infantino, the president of FIFA, he is once again comparing ticket prices for the World Cup to ticket prices for events that Americans actually give a shit about. These greedy Americans, they are paying thousands of dollars for the NBA Finals. That series, I think it's the Knicks and the San Anthony Spikes. Either way, no one is watching that series. Meanwhile, billions of people are watching football. I don't understand why people are complaining about our prices. Consumers are complaining about these exorbitant prices, but corporate sponsors, they are complaining about the thousands of empty seats. Yesterday, South Korea and the Czech Republic, they were the second game of the World Cup. Now, according to FIFA, have you seen the size of this crowd? Wowzer! It was completely sold out. This is amazing. In a stadium that seats just over 45,000, FIFA claimed that 44,985 were in attendance, which means there should only be a few dozen empty seats. But take a look at this. Does this look like a sellout to you? I haven't seen this many empty seats since cackling Cam Harris was campaigning to be president. Tickets in this section, they were priced anywhere from $400 all the way up to $5,000. Anyone willing to pay $5,000 to watch South Korea and the Czech Republic kick a round ball back and forth across a field of grass? Uncle Casey, it's just one game. Not every game is going to be sold out. Yeah, that's true. In FIFA's defense, you can't expect every game to be a draw, especially when tickets are more expensive than your monthly mortgage. But take a look at this. This is the opening ceremony last night in Los Angeles. Throughout real football season, fans of the Rams, they have no problem packing SoFi Stadium. But for the opening ceremony of the World Cup, it looked more like a Black Crowes concert. She talks to angels because there's no one in the seats to talk to. This was the opening ceremony in Toronto. Now, again, in fairness to FIFA, Some of these seats ended up being filled once the game actually started. And Canadians, they damn sure made their voices heard during the opening ceremony when each participating country was being honored. As the American flag was being announced, and it was time for our Canadian friends to show some respect to their American brothers, or as Canadians prefer to call us, Daddy. When it was time to honor America, Canadians decided to show their complete lack of respect for our country by booing us. Watch it for yourself. You know what Canada reminds me of? Canada reminds me of the younger brother who desperately seeks the attention and validation of his older brother. The older brother is successful, has a six-figure job, beautiful wife, good kids. Meanwhile, the younger brother is still living on his weekly allowance from mommy and daddy, or as they call it in Canada, welfare. He has a girlfriend named Celestia that has to be charged overnight. The younger brother is constantly trying to sabotage his older brother, makes up rumors about him, tries to turn the family against him, and the older brother, he just continues living his life like the little turd doesn't even exist. That is the dynamic of the relationship between the United States and Canada. Here in America, we forget that Canada exists. If you showed most Americans a picture of the Canadian flag, they would think it was the logo for High Times magazine. Canada boos America during the opening ceremony for the World Cup. Then they proceed to get embarrassed in their opening match against something called BIH. B-I-H. I don't know who BIH is. Maybe it's an acronym for Boris Institute of Hair. Either way, Boris was a heavy underdog yesterday against Canada, and if it wasn't for a late goal around the 78-minute mark, Canada would have lost this game. Instead, it ended in a draw, a tie. Anyway, according to The Athletic, there is a logical explanation as to why announced attendance at the World Cup doesn't come anywhere close to matching actual attendance. The announced attendance provided by FIFA, it is the number of tickets sold, or in some cases, the number of tickets given away. Remember the other day when FIFA had given away almost 10,000 tickets to the World Cup? Those giveaways are included in the attendance numbers. Tickets given to corporate sponsors who can't be thrilled with the optics. Like I told you guys the other day, corporate sponsors, they were very concerned leading into the World Cup. They had spent millions of dollars to have their brand associated with FIFA. They were concerned that their brand was going to be associated with huge embarrassing failure. They didn't want their brand to be associated with an event that can't put asses in seats. Giveaways to corporate sponsors included in the announced attendance numbers. Now, in fairness to FIFA, I'm sure the epidemic of empty seats will resolve itself as the tournament progresses. But the thing is, this wouldn't even be a story if it wasn't for the exorbitant ticket prices. No one would be talking about empty seats at some meaningless game between South Korea and the Czech Republic if FIFA wasn't charging thousands of dollars for tickets. Somehow, though, the lack of attendance hasn't had a negative impact on ticket prices. Later today, Brazil and Morocco, they will play at MetLife Stadium in New York City, or just outside of New York City. Cheapest seats are selling for almost $1,800. Do you even know where Morocco is? Most Americans would get Morocco confused with Mars. Haiti, Scotland, They are playing later today at Gillette Stadium in Boston. The average worker in Haiti makes $45 a month. $540 in a year. The average Haitian, they would have to work for 2 years, save every peso they earned just to afford one ticket to their game in the World Cup. Yet somehow people are paying these exorbitant prices. Me personally, I don't get it. I have never understood the allure of events like the Olympics or the World Cup. I've never understood why people would travel thousands of miles to watch someone skate around on frozen water. Hell, you could spend $50, $100 to watch NHL players skate on ice, and they'll even entertain you by hitting each other with their hockey sticks. I've never liked soccer, so it's hard for me to get invested in the World Cup. I understand the patriotism. I understand competing for your country, wanting your country to win. I get all that. Even though I have no interest in soccer, if ticket prices were somewhat reasonable, I would go to the World Cup. Of course, I wouldn't go in Los Angeles or New York City, not paying thousands of dollars to travel to some toxic dump, but somewhere like Boston, I would travel to Boston to watch the World Cup if the tickets were reasonably priced. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. World Cup hasn't been hosted here in America since I was 10 years old. If America ever gets another chance to host it, I'll be in my 70s. Right now, I'm at the perfect age to go. I got the money and I have the energy, but I'm not paying $1,000 to watch Haiti and Scotland. I'm not paying $2,000 to watch the United States and Australia. That's $4,000 for 2 tickets. By the time you include hotel, flights, the money you'll spend while you're there, you're spending at least $10,000 to watch a soccer game. To me, it's just not worth it. If the tickets were $500, I'd consider it, but I'm not spending $10,000 to watch a sport I don't care about. What about you? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.